Bioscience. This is Stuck in the Middle. What's up? Sorry, late start. Family usually goes to bed early. Tonight was an exception, so I had to wait for that to all get done. Then I had to sneak out into the basement and get this live started. What is good? The world is so crazy. I don't know. Am I black and am I a male? I don't even know what sex or gender I am anymore. I'm going to need an algorithm to tell me. And it all depends on who designs the algorithm. That's how crazy things are right now. I'm ready to talk about it. Corruption knows no end. That's what I'm learning. We're going to start off with a story about Hunter Biden. There is no end to the corruption. There's no bottom to it. I don't know where it would stop. All this for papers with dead presidents on it? That's what we're going to sacrifice our integrity for? These are godless people that go into this corruption. I think they trick themselves into thinking this is something good for the world, good for humanity. That's the only way that they could do this, I think, to do stuff so heinous. The corruption has no end. There's always something to look into, to talk about. But I do want to start with I am grateful. I was able to visit an undisclosed location and 10,000 feet in the air, going sledding with the family, or actually tubing. I want to go skiing again. I've only been skiing once, but we didn't go skiing. 2 kids, family, went up and we did these little tubes. Has anybody been tubing before? You go down the hill, the ice hill, go zooming fast. A lot of fun. Grateful for being able to do those things. And with all the stuff that we're going to be talking about today, I'm not making any assumption that stuff's going to be forever. So I'm grateful for the moments here that we have. Simply Pony, thank you. Starting off with the $2.99 super sticker. Appreciate you. What's a woman? It's been a while. Thank you for stopping by. Yeah, no God, no life, man. I'm not telling you, I'm not a like a Bible type person. I believe in, I think to criticize myself, I think it's kind of a cop out. I just haven't taken the time to really dig into the Bible like I want to and organize religion, but I do strongly believe in a higher power greater than myself. I don't know how you can't go outside, breathe the air, see the birds, see the grass, and look at the universe and not understand there's something bigger than us. I don't know what it is, but there's something bigger than us. I have to. But in my days in college, it was around 96 to 98. I actually had somebody come in and we were reading, I think he was from a church or whatever, spreading the word. And I was just soaking up knowledge around that time. My head was just a sponge. And we would come in, it was every week. He would come into my dorm room and we would do nothing but read the Bible and talk about it. I didn't retain a damn thing from it. I didn't retain anything from it, but I would never change that. I wish I had retained more. I just haven't been into it. But I've been following people that I connect with and that talk Bible. You know who I wish did a Bible channel? Officer Tatum. That guy gets me pumped, man, when I hear him speak. I wish he did. Maybe he does have one. I don't know. But I know Bryson Gray has one, so he's got me into it. What's up, everybody? Bible More, his return is... Oh, I like that. Eminent, I like that. Thank you, everybody. But yeah, it's hard. How can you not believe in something greater? And it doesn't matter what it is, Mother Nature, or I don't know. Man, this life is hard to navigate, in my opinion, without that. How did this thing start? What's your puzzle piece in this thing? This administration, Boogie Bozo, I haven't even started yet, man. This stuff, man, this administration is trying to get us killed, man. I don't know how else to say it. No lies detected. I don't know. I don't know, man. I'm just trying to figure out this world and navigate it like everybody else. I could be wrong. Uh, Boogie Bozo and I could be wrong, but that's what it looks like, man. Whether it's on purpose or not, I think that's irrelevant. Like the stuff that's happening right now is this is not like the normal course of things. Well, at least within the last decade. Like if you look at the course of the universe, we are going through a cycle. In the grand scheme of things, 80 years is a small span of time. When you look at 80 years from where we were before, 40 years, uh, this is a small span of time. It is not a large span of time that we're talking about. Thank you, everybody, for joining. The number of topics that are out there, I can't even touch on them all. So I just kind of will do my best on it, and y'all tell me what's on your mind. I'm going to talk about Ginny Thomas. That's a topic that's on my mind. I'm going to talk about Hunter Biden, of course. I'm going to talk about Daddy Biden, the big guy. Zelensky's trying to get in on the Oscars. I think that's very appropriate since he's so attached to that green screen. So there's so many different things. Thanks for stopping by. Hope everybody's having a great. You and your family are doing well during these times. Nothing, right now, still grateful. We can still get groceries. Still hanging. There's no big changes, but bracing for possibilities, for any type of possibility. Just bracing for it. And it will be a slow roll. It'll be a slow boil, and it will eventually get there. This Hunter Biden story, I'll be on. Tucker, I think, did a segment. I couldn't listen to it. I get alerts for Fox News. The only reason I get alerts for Fox News is because I want to see when Tucker drops. I don't really watch normal TV anymore. I'm on Cozy TV. So my number one platform for podcasts is YouTube. Like all my YouTubers are on there. Sometimes I go to Odyssey because my favorite ones like Sticks and Hammer and Eric July and all of them are they're on there. Quarterine's on there. So I'll go to Odyssey a lot. But my number two actually right now is Cozy because of Young Fuentes and Bryson Gray's on there now too. But I don't get to watch regular TV. But I saw Tucker did a segment on the famine, and he did it on he did it on Hunter too, I believe. But here's what the article is. This is Daily Mail. Hunter Biden did help secure millions in funding for U.S. contractor in Ukraine specializing in deadly pathogen research. Laptop emails reveal, raising more questions about the disgraced son of then Vice President. Y'all keep talking about Hunter, and I'm talking about Hunter, but I'm talking about Daddy at this point. What did Daddy know is what I want to know. This smells, this stinks while we're getting into conflict in Ukraine and Russia and tying into actually pandemic too, potentially. I'm just reading the Daily Mail. I'm not alleging anything. I don't know anything. I don't know if they're lying or not. I'm just sharing the news here. And we can talk about hypothetically if some of this is true or not. The Russian government held a press conference Thursday claiming that Hunter Biden helped finance a U.S. military bioweapons research program in Ukraine. That's a headline that will catch your attention. Like if you're just going about your daily day, you get an alert. Wait, what did you say? I thought I knew everything about it. Now, I haven't dug into all the, everything that came out of the Hunter Biden laptop. So this might have been out there the whole time and I didn't know. I just haven't had a chance. There's files out there where you can see everything, and there's some disturbing things. Like forget about all this Ukraine stuff and all. There's some stuff that is disturbing, is what I would say. So go look into that. You can search it up. The stuff on the laptop that made the dude at the laptop shop call, I believe he called the FBI. He called them for a reason, and I can't really even describe it on YouTube. And this is the story that got censored. It's you couldn't make it up. If you wanted to make it up, you could not. But the emails and correspondence obtained. So the reason why it says but is because right before it, they said, well, this was debunked as Russian propaganda. Do you know it's possible that Russian propaganda can also be true? That is a thing, right? It could be American propaganda and true. It could be any propaganda and true propaganda. Just because something is propaganda does not mean it is false. So this is corroborated by emails, correspondence. According to Daily Mail, I didn't look at the email. Well, they did post some of the emails, but I can't verify that they literally came from the laptop. So I'm just reporting what they said, that the laptop that was abandoned had emails that show that there is some truth to this. So it's not just Russian propaganda straight up. They show he helped secure millions of dollars of funding for this Meta Biota, a Department of Defense contractor specializing in research on pandemic-causing diseases. Is that relevant to anything that's been going on recently? Simply Pony said, don't open anything. Don't open anything. Don't share anything pertaining to the laptop or you will be arrested. I don't know. I don't think I have anything from it on here, but they're going to have to do what they got to do. Like this is where we're at right now. I don't know if they think arresting me is going to help make things better or not, but whatever. He also introduced Meta Biota to an allegedly corrupt Ukrainian gas firm. Wait for it. Burisma, which we all know, for a science project involving high biosecurity level labs in Ukraine. So it's all tying into it. Hunter and his colleagues invested $500,000 in this Meta Biota through their firm Rosemont Seneca Technology Partners. They raised several $1 million of funding for the company from investment giants, including Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs, when you talk about money, investment, they're always in the story. When you talk about politicians, they're always in the story. This is, this big investment bank, financial services company. Basically, what they do is just throw money around. They're an extension of the government, no different than social media, because they're in bed with the government. That's basically what happens. So I'm not surprised to see them mentioned here. Wait till you see the connections. This Meta Biota also has close ties to the Wuhan Institute of Virology. I'm not going to make any allegations. I'm just saying that they have close ties to Wuhan Institute of Virology, and I will leave it at that. This spot was a hot spot, as you know, for this controversial stuff that happened over the pandemic. It was a hot spot for all the work being done, and we know Dr. Beagle was involved, and we know that the Echo Labs was involved. They've been a close partner of this Echo Health Alliance since 2014. I don't know. I'm not connecting any dots. Help me out in the chat. This is just a friendly reminder from Rose of Dawn that social media sites such as Twitter and Facebook actively suppressed this story prior to the U.S. election, and everyone was okay with it. And about a year after inauguration, after he was inaugurated, we're in a conflict by proxy, very close proxy, with Russia and Ukraine. You couldn't make that kind of stuff up if you wanted to. That's how it went down. I'm going to have to read more about this and put my big picture thoughts together. I just wanted to talk about it, how crazy it was, broach the topic. There's no end to the corruption. Now, you know what I mean. Like, what's the next plot twist? Tell me. Like, what could happen next to connect all this stuff together? Why? And no Democrats care about this. Like, none. That's how corrupt and lost and gone we are. I have not heard one Democrat express any concern about this. Maybe someone from the squad did or not. I don't know. I haven't seen it. They're too busy going after trying to impeach Clarence Thomas, which we will get to in a second. I don't hear them with any energy on this. I don't barely hear any Republicans with any energy on this, to be honest with you. They're all in on it, man. Most of them are. The one, I'll be honest with you, people talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene and stuff she said before and all this, like how she was crazy. and I've expressed where I disagree with her at times. Her, Thomas Massey, I trust them even more than even more than Rand Paul. I, MTG is probably one of the most that I trust in Congress right now. And I'm not saying she's perfect. I'm just saying compared to the other ones, she's the only one that I see like spitting like truth like a normal person, that will just talk to you like a normal person. She's not perfect, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying how many people are actually talking about this stuff. She is. People, we're casually talking about alleged corruption that is infinitely more disturbing than anything Trump did, the bad call, and nothing's happening. Like, that's how corrupt, like, everybody's in on it, basically. All this Ukraine flags and all that. I'm with the Ukraine people. Hate to see the refugee crisis going on over there. Like, they can't handle it. It's too many. I heard that we're going to accept 100,000 here. I'm all for that. I think they need to be vetted, though, just like Afghanistan. I don't want any Yahtzees sneaking over here or whatever. They got to be vetted, but I'm fine for that. Man, Hunter has, I don't know. I don't understand if was Daddy using Hunter or was Hunter using Daddy? I don't know. And does it matter? I don't know. I just can't. I just don't understand the dynamic there. What a family history. And then I could do a 2-hour show just on the Bidens. The stuff that I've read on them, just the weird stuff, like with the brothers and his wife, and then this corruption, and then the media makes it like Biden's such a good guy, and I don't know, maybe he's a guy you'd like to have a beer with, but I don't know if I would associate with him, like with the history that they had. He's been a president for what, a year and some month, and a year and what are we, almost in April, in a couple months, and he's already. I don't even want to. I don't want to have an argument. He's the worst president that I've ever seen. It's not even close. What other president has accomplished the depths of idiocy that he has? I know he's not running everything, but he's the face of it. So unless they tell me who's running it, I'm going to just put it on him and use him as the face of everybody else. Let me just I'm going to end with this. I'm going to end the story with this. Let me sum this up again. We have emails that show Hunter Biden got a lot of money, millions of dollars secured for funding for this Metabiota. I don't know if I'm trying to pronounce it like biotech. So Metabiota, this contractor of the Department of Defense, mind you. So he got millions to fund this lab, specializing in what? Research in pandemic-causing diseases. Let me know what you think. I don't know what to think anymore. Thank you for the smash that like button. All the YouTubers do that classic YouTuber. I think I'm too, I don't know. It's not my style. So I appreciate you, Simply Pony, doing the super sticker, $2 super sticker. Smash the like button if you like it. I like how Luke Rudowski, man, he's so humble. You ever watch his channel, We Are Change? He'll be like, smash the, he'll say, if you like my content, hit the like button. If you don't, hit the dislike, but tell me what you didn't like. I love Luke Rudowski, man. That dude he just comes across as so authentic, and to rise to how he has. You ever watch the video with him on the island, on E Island? It's now up for sale. What a great YouTube video. I don't think you can search for it. I think you have to go to his YouTube channel, We Are Changed, and go to his homepage on YouTube, and it's there. They didn't ban the video, but you can't search for it. It's Luke Rudowski with some other journalist on E Island. It's fascinating stuff. The dude is fearless. I like that dude a lot. With everything going on, and you got the Hunter story, I wanted to touch on the famine story. So that's where I'm going to go next. If everybody's just jumping in, just started out with the Hunter Biden. and then we're going to talk about when the election came, we chose as a country. We chose, and this is what we chose. I'm not going to blame everything on Biden, that's for sure, but the decisions that are being made are questionable at best. Let's look at this. Boogie Bozo says, all of these leaders from the WEF just want to control everyone in the name of social justice. They will do it on the backs of dead black people. They'll leverage whatever identity they want to leverage to make sure that you help them maintain power. So they're clearly out for control. There's no doubt what they want to do with that control, and there's all different theories, but they are definitely out for control. Biden is really out here telling us there's going to be a food shortage as he demands $800 billion for the military. Yesterday, Bloomberg told the poor to eat lentils. I covered that story the other day. So it went from Bloomberg telling us to eat lentils. Don't buy meat. You could substitute meat with lentils. How you make that connection, help me understand. And we want the money. They've already got money allotted for Ukraine and this, in my opinion, this corruption. And then then Biden's all casually. He's real casual about it, casually. After all that stuff that's going on, we're barely a year into his we're barely like a little bit over a year into his presidency.
Nothing more to report. With regard to food shortages, yes, we did talk about food shortages. And it's going to be real. The price of these sanctions is not just imposed upon Russia. It's imposed upon an awful lot of countries as well, including European countries and our country as well.
So it's not going to be just European countries. It's going to be our country as well. Here's a good thing. We do produce a lot of food here in America, which is good. The problem is this fertilizers are going to be expensive potentially. So the price will go up. Who knows how crazy. I've seen videos I can't verify. Twitter's great, but I've been thrown off seeing videos and then it's like, oh, this was like 2 years ago. So I'm like, I got to hesitate, but it doesn't matter. I don't know when this video is from. If you've seen French people fighting over vegetable oil or something, it was oil. That's how bad things get. They're literally like 20 people hands free going over some Crisco. Like that's how bad things can get. Like Crisco, not even like cereal or bread. Now, I don't think that's going to happen in America. If that happens in America, man, if that happens in America, somebody, God bless us all, we hope not. The one person right now I trust in Congress, probably the most. I'm trying to think about who I trust more in Congress than. There's no one I trust more in Congress than MTG right now. That could change, but she says Joe Biden finally admitted that U.S. sanctions are going to cause worldwide famines, which I've been saying and is also why I voted no to sanctions. Sanctions won't stop the war. Just wait until Russia, India, and others start trading on China's digital yuan. I didn't even talk about the digital yuan. I've talked about it, but I didn't tie it into like how that could also hurt the dollar. It will be bad. We don't know the exact impact. We don't know how long it's going to take. There's a lot of stuff that's in the works that hasn't been decided yet. But when MTG talks, I listen.
Every move the Biden administration has made has hurt Americans and helped Putin. Our former allies are looking at us and wondering if we've gone mad. Just this week, Saudi Arabia, whose leaders won't even take a call from Joe Biden, indicated that they may be open to selling petrochemicals to the Chinese in their currency instead of U.S. dollars. It is impossible to overstate the consequences to America if the dollar loses its position as the preeminent international medium of exchange. Two competing global currencies will devastate our economy. We will have no power to prevent the worldwide famines that will surely follow sanctions that prevent Russia from exporting fertilizer, grains, and energy. If the petrodollar is eliminated as a result of Biden's incompetence, life as we know it in America will be over forever. The dollar will collapse. We will no longer control the undisputed world currency. Our economy will surely collapse thereafter under the massive debt administration after administration have so irresponsibly created. When my constituents from Georgia call into my office here in Washington, D.C., there is only one thing on their minds. Hardworking Americans living paycheck to paycheck don't care about foreign wars or foreign borders. They care about gas prices back home. They care about runaway inflation and the fact that a used car or truck costs 40% more today than it did last year.
I hope that MTG, because I'm getting the same vibes. I'm a little off topic here, but let me get this out. Yes, Mike's American Food, she is right. I hope MTG does not do the same thing AOC did. AOC, when she was the opposition to Trump, she was a lot more based than she is now. I know that's not saying a lot. But no matter what you feel about AOC, I hope that MTG, obviously, if say, for example, Trump, 2024 seems so far away. This seems asinine to even talk about. But say Trump won. I hope MTG, obviously she's not going to fire off on Trump, but I hope she still is as honest as she is now. And you have to sometimes be honest against Trump as well. So we'll see. Somebody said Lauren Boebert. I've said this before. Lauren Boebert is like a dollar store version of MTG. If I'd rather go to the store and get it, like if I need to get, I don't know what to get. If you need to get some type of plastic utensils for serving, I'd rather go to the dollar store than not have them at all. So I'm not against Lauren Boebert, but she doesn't have the substance of a MTG. I'd like to see her go on Timcast and prove me wrong. I could be absolutely wrong. I don't think she could go on a podcast long form and have a conversation like MTG did multiple times, which is impressive how she did that. But yeah, I really am listening, and I think she's right. The U.S. imported $1 billion worth of fertilizer from Russia last year. Want to guess what will happen if you take that much fertilizer off the fields in America this summer? Thomas Massey. That's the concern. What's going to happen? Tucker Carlson was on, and he talked about the part, when I'm talking about the fertilizer and the concern about food, he talked about how, why are we not focused on energy, food, and water and being self-sufficient and reliant? I played a clip from a classroom in China where they had the kids standing up and reciting how important it was to be self-sufficient and defend the motherland. They weren't talking about Ukraine, y'all. They were talking about their own goddamn country. So nationalism here has been tied into racism. So if you say, I'm a nationalist, doesn't that bring like a bad tone to your... they're trying to bring a negative connotation to that. And don't be a white person. Don't do that. If you're a white person, you can't say I'm a nationalist, because then you would be a white nationalist. And when people do put that on Twitter, I say, well, what do you mean? What does that mean? Are you trying to say that as a diss? Like, I'm a black nationalist, not like as in a Black Panther, but if you label me black and I'm for America first, then I'm a black nationalist. That's not a bad thing. But here's where the downside comes.
So sanctions have thrown American agriculture into profound turmoil and will cause, again, as the president has told us out loud, food shortages, which are maybe the most destabilizing trend you could ever have in a country, not just to the politics, but to the social fabric. It's scary. But it's not just sanctions. There are a lot of reasons. It's not just the war in Ukraine. In response to energy and food shortages, the Biden administration is shutting down domestic oil and gas production. That makes food more expensive. It makes everything else more expensive. And as the pressure on American farmers rises and as food becomes scarcer and more expensive in this country, that same administration is allowing the government of China to buy up this country's farmland.
So on the landscape of all this stuff happening, China is buying up our farmland. I don't know. So sometimes your biggest strength is your biggest weakness. America is so welcoming that I don't know what is there legislation you could do? Is there constitutional legislation you could do to stop that? I don't know. Maybe it would have to be through monopoly type, I don't know. I'm not a farm expert. But whatever the case is, why haven't we heard people in Congress really talking about, hey, this is a national security issue at this point. China doesn't let us go over there and buy up their land, their farmland. They would die of laughter if we talked about going to China and having our American billionaires buying up Chinese farmland. Man, they'd be like, get the hell out of here. What is wrong with you? And that's what's happening here.
According to Politico, and this was 2 years ago, Chinese investors own nearly 200,000 acres of U.S. ag land valued at least $2 billion. Now, they're doing this in part with the help of subsidies paid for by U.S. taxpayers. And Chinese investors...
I did not know that. That will have to be looked in for me. Wait, what? It's funny, like, you look at all the things that are happening, like the pandemic, and just from the pandemic, everything down. Almost everything comes back to who's funding it. You and I, if you're paying American taxpayer, we're funding a lot of this stuff. I didn't know that, so I don't know what to extent. But you understand that that's welfare, right? When you're giving billion or whoever, the government's giving these subsidies and money. I'm not saying it's always bad, but that's just corporate welfare. That's all it is. That is a socialist. It doesn't matter. I'm okay with some elements of socialism, or communism, if you want to call it. Because I'm actually for a universal basic income. A lot of people disagree with me on that, but I am for it. But I always have to qualify that. That means you wipe away every social safety net. Everything, welfare, Social Security, all that stuff. As you wipe that out, then you replace it with, so you don't add on top of it. Adding on top of it's asinine. But at the end of the day, taxpayers are paying for all this stuff.
Are continuing to buy more every single year. Again, food, water, energy. That's what you need for a country. The Chinese understand that. As Congressman Dan Newhouse put it, quote, the current trend in the United States is leading us toward the creation of a Chinese-owned agricultural land monopoly in our country, the most productive farmland in the world, now owned by what we used to call our main global rival, and I think we can now say with the realignment in progress, is our main global enemy.
Yeah, we're just going to have to call him daddy pretty soon. I tweeted this. People hate Trump so much, they're willing to change genders, indoctrinate children, lie about insurrections, celebrate inflation, risk nuclear war and famine throughout the world. If that's not cultish behavior, I don't know what is. Let me know what you think. Good comments. Thank you for staying up late, lively in the chat. Bogey Bozo says the left have an insane thought process when it comes to money. You got figures like Cortez screaming, eat the rich, while flaunting their money everywhere they go. Yep, it makes no sense. And when you have a strong cult-like following, it doesn't have to make sense. None of it. I mean, they'll follow these people to, I hate to say it, but to their graves. Bill Gates, too. And the thing is, Bill Gates is American. I should be happy about that. I don't trust him. I trust Elon more than Bill Gates. Let's just put it like that. If Elon was buying up the farmland, I would still have concerns because I don't want any monopoly anywhere. But I want competition, but I'd be better off. I would feel better about it. I am going to talk about Elon later on. I don't know if you saw what popped off on Twitter the other day. Oh, it's today, wasn't it? Gosh, the days are just all blending together. Elon put a poll on. You don't want to miss it. Sub up if you're not able to stay. Sub up to the Clips channel. I'll put the link in the chat. That one will definitely be edited and put it, even if it's a bad segment, like if I stumble and bumble, it will still be on the Clips channel because I've been talking about it. Elon might do his own social media thing, and he might. That's the Clips channel in the chat right now. So sub up to that if you're interested. Decisions. That's what I want to talk about. I think I read these stories and look at the stories, and this is really prompted from Jeremy Boring and the CEO and co-founder of the Daily Wire. He's leading the way, one of the leaders. Many people are, but not that many, but some people are leading the way. And he really pushed me over the edge with this, along with Eric July. Really, I should give more credit to Eric July, because I listen to Young July, Young Ripper every day, and he hammers this home. He hammers it and hammers it and hammers it, and he's like, it's enough. If you feel anything that I'm saying on this channel, this is Eric July now, ANCAP, Libertarian, you got to stop giving them your money. And the thing that I will disagree with him about, he makes it sound like it's easy, and it should be easy, but when you're used to a certain lifestyle, like I'm on an Apple MacBook, like what alternative to Apple am I going to get? I mean, there are alternatives out there, but are you going to give up your Apple? I don't know. I'm on the phone. I have a Google phone. So I'm supporting Google. I'm supporting Apple. So so here's what my thought was. My thought was, I'm not going to be too hard on myself for failing. I'm supporting Apple with big time money. Got an iPad over here, got a MacBook, and then now I'm supporting Google. I'm on Google services. They're tracking everything I do. I got a Google phone. So, okay, I'm not going to beat myself up too much for it. Let me just make small changes. One of the things when I started this channel, I was struggling because I wanted to do videos, and it's like, man, if you can't really be entertaining, a 20-minute video is a long-ass video. So cut it down. Just if you have a 20-minute video, just start with something that's a 5-minute topic or something like that. Don't bite off more than you can chew, and you'll eventually get there. So here's my point. I pre-ordered Jeremy razors. I shave. I usually get my razors at Costco because I'm looking like I buy in bulk. What's the cheapest? And I've never done a subscription. So you know what? I'm like, tell my wife, don't buy the Costco ones anymore. I got all these razors. I got to go through them, use them up. Pre-order Jeremy razors. Right now, I'm feeling where they're coming from. If I don't start feeling them, then I'll stop. But that's one little change I made. Eric July. I've never ever bought a comic book in my life. I used to go to the library back, parents used to take me to the library. I used to borrow the comic books. Used to love that. I used to hate when they didn't have the next, the next edition, I think they call it, so I had to skip some of the story, but those were good times. When that Eric July comic book drops, and I respect what he's doing, he's not doing the pre-order thing, to my knowledge. He's not doing the crowdfunding. So where when I get to 25K, then I'll release the book. He's like, no. When the book's ready, you can cop the book, which is risky because you got to store it, or there's a lot behind the scenes. When that comic book drops, I'm supporting Eric July. I'm cutting out other subscriptions. I subscribe to Tim Pool. I listen to Tim Pool every day. How am I not going to subscribe to his after show stuff? I'm a YouTube member for Eric July. Focusing on giving money. I'm with Warren Redlick, one of my favorite YouTubers. I haven't had a chance to listen to a lot of Tesla stuff recently, but one of my favorite dudes. subbed up to him. So I'm choosing where I'm going. You saw what they did to Sydney Watson. Sydney Watson got taken off of what's the Patreon. We're coming up on the midterms. People are getting slashed. Babylon B off of Twitter. So I can't support everybody, but I'm like, okay, do I really need Netflix? Okay, cancel that. We might go back if like my wife's like, wait, what happened to our, see, if my wife says, wait, what happened to Netflix? I might go one more month or whatever, but I'm taking that money going elsewhere. Let me share this for you. I can't, the Cozy TV stuff is like, whenever I start sharing videos from there, I get real worried because a lot of that stuff isn't YouTube friendly. But let me show you Real, that's his Twitter handle, Real Bryson Gray. He's over on Cozy TV. I like what Young Nick's doing over there. He's doing his thing over there. He's got his own payment processors because I think they cut him off of Visa, MasterCard, all that. That's crazy. So he had to do his own website. He was on this D Live platform. And he was like, I'm going to do they kicked him off the D Live. So he was on YouTube. They kicked him off YouTube. Twitter kicked him off Twitter. He was on D Live, this alternative platform. They kicked him off. And now he's over here. Elijah Schaffer was just on with Tim Pool, and he talked about this. I wanted to clip it up. I didn't have time. But Elijah Schaffer said there's a distance between, I think it's millennials. Millennials have a long range, don't they? Because I think I'm a millennial. But millennials to no, what am I? I'm not a millennial. I'm a Gen. What am I? Whatever. But the millennials to Gen Z is a big gap. I'm a boomer. What am I talking about? There's a big gap there. So the younger guys, like Nick is 23. He's probably gonna be 24 soon. The younger guys have gotten more radical because they keep kicking them off platforms, and then on top of that, you have the algorithm. So they have to be radical, or no one's going to watch them. He can't start his own website, Cozy TV, with milquetoast ass takes like me or even Tim Pool's milquetoast as hell. There's no way starting right now Tim Pool would be able to be as milquetoast as he is right now. If he were to start his grind on social media right now, there's no way, being as milquetoast as he is, that he would rise up. He would do his thing. I mean, he's a hard worker and all that, but I don't think it would be totally different. Let me just say that. That's why Nick's doing that. You need a cult following. I'm going to clip that up and put it on a separate video. Elijah Schaffer that was a great show with Savannah on there, Elijah Schaffer recently. This is Cozy TV. I want to give a shout out to it. I like Cozy TV a lot. So I'll come over here and I sub up to, he's got Alex Jones on here. That's Nick's channel. I didn't listen to the show today. I'll probably listen to the show while I'm editing this show. So you listen to the replay. He got his show on there. And then Bryson Gray, he's doing a podcast on here now called the Gray Area Podcast. It was a great discussion he had with this guy. I'm not familiar with him, but it was a great discussion. And they talked about, he's right there with them. They talked about things that people might think are sensitive, like interracial marriage, and they respected each other, dapped up. Like, thanks for having me. I just think that's bridging the gap. Bryson Gray is kind of, I don't know if he's a Gen Zer, but he's bridging the gap. Tying it back, to me, it's important to support people who don't hate me. And whatever you think about Fuentes and many disagreements I might have with him, Nick Fuentes and his group don't hate me. So I will support them. Trying out PureFlix. I've heard about PureFlix through Bryson Gray. So I am trying that out, seeing if I use it. If I don't use it, then I can always cancel it. But this is the purpose of this one is just to be like a Netflix alternative, but with what they call feel-good stuff. So you'll see like religious stuff on there, more family-friendly, I would say. I'm still learning it, but I think you would say more family-friendly type programming. Let me know if anybody subs up on PureFlix. So I'm on here now. So they see, say positive entertainment. You got this stuff on here. So I'm going to check it out. I am slowly thinking about changing my lifestyle. because I can't be out here supporting people who completely despise me, completely disrespect me. And I'm not even, because of the Marxist approach, if you're not with them, you're the enemy, even if you're not on the other end of the spectrum. Simply Pony, thank you. Am I usually streaming this late? It's becoming a habit, man. I think I haven't, yeah. I got just too much work, like real work stuff to do during the day. My job, this is just a hobby, and then family stuff. So I can't let that stuff slide. Just even stuff like cleaning up and all that. So they're all asleep, so I can go ahead and play. When I was younger, even before my kids were born, I would play video games during this time. I would just, start up the Xbox. I was a big NBA 2K guy. I might start that again at some point and stream it on Twitch or something. But thanks for the super chats, Simply Pony. Appreciate your support. So yeah, I'm gonna be 11 p.m. I might just make it a consistent time. I don't know if I'll do it every day, but I really liked when I did the streams at like 4 or 5, but it was just too tough, too much left for my wife to kind of deal with the kids and stuff. Yeah. I'm gonna stream late, and hey, I'm grateful that I can even stream. YouTube hasn't banned me, so I'm grateful for that. So decisions have to be made, and Brave Books. I'm on. I did Brave Books, subbed up to that. If you're not familiar with Brave Books, this is what this whole segment is about. I just want to shout out some alternatives. If you know more, put it in the chat. Like, are you making life changes, or you're like, maybe this doesn't mean anything? I believe in climate change to a certain extent. Like, I believe in living smart. Like, if you can reuse something, why throw it away? That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. But sometimes I make it feels like what am I going to do? Recycle this thing right here? I'm going to recycle it, but am I really? I mean, it's like a drop in the ocean, but still, I want to do my part. And hopefully I'll benefit from it. Brave Books, they're the ones that have the Jack Posovic books on there. I think this is a mission that I would like to support. And what really made me passionate about this is I can't go to the library and just get books anymore. I was talking to Deb Philman, and I was telling her I went to the library and we got this. My son loves penguins. The oldest son loves penguins. I got this penguin book, brought it home, and 2 pages in, I'm like, where's this story going? And she knows books so well. She knew the exact book I was talking about. We used to just get books from the library. That's how it happened to me. You didn't have to vet the books. It was, and I'm not against I think the book was about 2 daddy penguins or something, or even 3. It was getting kind of crazy. I did not finish the book. I kind of was like, son, you know what? Yeah, you know what? Did you look at that other book over there? Then I took that penguin book, put it under the bed. I'm not against it. I just wasn't. That's not the conversation I wanted to have with my son at that moment. So I vet every single book that comes from the library. But I'm looking at this now, and they've got a monthly subscription. You get new books, and it's like family based. Some libertarianish type stuff in here. And it fits my values more, period. So we got to do that. That's where I'm gonna go. Let me know what you think. Are you making any decisions, choices, changes, or are you just living your life? Midnight Rider 2021 says, I hope more of the woke supremacists, I like that term, companies continue to see revenue decline, keep boycotting. I did a video on that. The revenue is going to decline. There's no demand for this stuff. You can't create demand. But the problem is there's this ESG. And Tim Pool actually asked Jeremy Boyne about it, which was a great question. He kind of side-skirted it, but at the end of the day, he said, we already got funding. They're not public. So they already got funding. If they went public, it would be a problem. But they've got funding. They don't need it. But the ESG, if you don't know, is a business corporate credit score. And what happens is companies like Paramount has the show through Showtime, who is owned by Paramount. They got the show, everything's going to be all white. That's the latest critical theory raced show. So the show did terribly. But Paramount they're publicly traded, and they get funding by these big asset management companies like BlackRock. So they're good. They're good as long as that money keeps coming in. The racketeering part of it is, if BlackRock goes under, they got money out the yin yang. They'll just go to the government and say, we need more money. Basically a tax on people, and we fund it. So I don't know how long that game can go, but it can probably go long enough to the point where it kind of brings our country down, which is the whole point of it, in my opinion. So look at this. We need a different economy for now. Yeah, I don't know what the answer is on that. I don't know if I'm smart enough to know. My thought is, I've been going very libertarian. I need the government to get the hell out the way, and things will be better. Bogey Bozo says, remember when the left started screaming Dr. Seuss books are racist and tried to cancel and erase the books for no real reason other than hate for the sake of hate? Yep. And what got me upset about that was that people on the left tried to make fun of people who were like, why are you even doing this? Just asking the question, like, what's happening? Dr. Seuss is controversial now? That's when people started seeing the Overton window shifting. The most recent one I saw was Aladdin. They have a trigger warning on Aladdin. Like Aladdin, like the Disney Aladdin, like one of the softest movies that's ever been made. Is it because of stereotypes? I don't know. Let me see if I can find it real quick. There's an Aladdin trigger warning. If it's true, I don't know what to trust anymore. But there was some type of warning or something on the Aladdin movie. Yeah, I can't find it right now. Because I didn't really... Okay, here it is. Oh, here it is. Here we go. This is the Overton window shifting right before your very eyes. Aladdin has a warning, a trigger warning on it. This program includes negative depictions and or mistreatment of people or cultures. These stereotypes were wrong then and are wrong now. Rather than remove this content, we want to acknowledge its harmful impact, learn from it, and spark conversation to create a more inclusive... There we go again. Just wait for it. Read anything and you will see the word inclusive. Inclusive future together. Disney is committed to creating stories with inspirational and aspirational themes that reflect the rich diversity of the human experience around the globe. To learn more about how stories have impacted society, visit this website. Your video will start in 8. A trigger warning on Aladdin. That's where we're at. Like that's real life, and of course they had a lot of feedback, got flamed. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be stereotypes. It's like, are we really that sensitive? My parents are Jamaican. One of the funniest skits was in Living Color back in the day. Living Color used to make fun of, there's a show, if you don't know, just like Saturday Night Live. And back then in the 90s, this is the golden age of America, at least for my life. In Saturday Night Live was funny then, but then Living Color came up, and then Living Color blew Saturday Night Live out the water. They were just so funny. They had hip hop. Hip hop was cool then. They had the vibe. It was dancing. It was all cool. People made fun of race and your clothing and different sizes, and it was all good. Nobody hated each other. Like, it was all fun and jokes. And they used to make fun of Jamaicans, like, how many jobs do you have? It's, Jamaicans typically would work hard, hustle, have multiple jobs. My parents were Jamaican. My mom thought it was hilarious. Like, they didn't do it in a way that was like mean. It's more about intent than what it is. You know what I mean? Friends and I used to joke all the time about all kinds of things. We weren't doing it to... It's actually something that can bring people together. And that's why I like Elijah Schaffer. Elijah Schaffer, he says stuff I didn't even know you could say on YouTube. but he says it in a way that he like brings down your defenses. So I'm off on a tangent there, but yeah. Truth, what's up? Thank you for stopping by. Let's see how sensitive people are when these food shortages kick in and we actually have to face our own humanity once again. Truth, don't drop a truth bomb like that. Don't do that. You're gonna force us to start being serious, man. That's a comment. That's a comment right there. Truth. Let's see how sensitive people are when these food shortages kick in. I hope that doesn't happen, but if that happens, I said it when the Ukraine war popped off. It was about those in Ukraine. I was like, at this moment, your pronouns don't matter. And I wasn't saying it just about the pronouns. Like nothing like the chain you have on your neck doesn't matter. Your life matters. Yeah, I miss the 90s too, man. I hate to be that person, but I just can't lie. The hip-hop was dope. The grunge was dope. The rock was dope. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, man. Every generation, every single generation thinks, like the older generation was like, oh, I love the big band of the 50s, was it right? The music of the 60s was fire. I will not front. The 60s had fire music. And then the 70s came in too. Every generation, except for the 80s probably. The 80s was underrated though. The 80s had some good music in it. And then late in the 80s, you had hip hop popping off. Like even like KRS-One and Boogie Down Productions, and even before that, Africa Bambaataa and others. So, scary times, but yeah. Oh, thank you, Truth. I appreciate you, man. If somebody Truth says they love the show, man, that's a pretty good endorsement. Thank you, sir, or ma'am. I'm not even sure what gender. I don't know what gender I am, Truth. So I hope you're not offended. Let me see if this works. I want to talk about Ginny Thomas. I was listening to this article via, you know how you can play. I love when they do you can play this article. I actually just subbed up to Speechify because I read a lot of articles, but I can't read an article and do dishes. So I walk around all day with headphone. Like I got a headphone in here and then a headphone on here, but I walk around all day with a headphone on. And I was listening to this NPR article, and hopefully it will play through. Instead of like clipping it up, I just saved the link to it. I thought it was slanted, of course, left, but it reminded me of old school NPR where it was more like, let's just talk about this. So it was slanted, don't get me wrong, but let me know if this audio plays. If this audio plays, this will be good. This is how I want to start off this talking about it, because this author here, this writer for the New Yorker, I believe it was. Let me see. This writer kind of is an expert in the Thomases, starting from Anita Hill. So let me see if this works. I'm going to start playing this. Let me know if this audio works.
Surreptitiously tape him. But as it turned out, McMaster...
Bring it back.
This is Fresh Air. I'm Dave Davies in for Terry Gross, who's off this week.
NPR.
U.S. Supreme Court Justice Stephen Breyer has decided to retire, giving President Biden the opportunity to fulfill his promise of naming a black woman to the nation's highest court. Our guest today, New Yorker staff writer Jane Mayer, has identified another development involving the Supreme Court that some legal scholars believe may undermine the integrity of the institution. Her latest article is about the conservative activism and influence of Ginny Thomas, wife of U.S. Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. Mayer reports that Ginny Thomas holds extreme right-wing views. She's been supportive of Donald Trump's baseless claims that the 2020 election was stolen, and she said that the country faces existential danger from the deep state and the fascist left. She has an active lobbying firm and has ties to...
It's weird. Now that, when we were talking about the 90s, in the 90s, if somebody said far-right extremist group, I was probably like, okay, that's not somebody I'd mess with. Nowadays, if somebody says far-right extremist group, I'm like, how can I get down? What do y'all talk about over there? Like, I don't assume that it's like somebody with a white hood on. It's almost like, oh, that's where I belong, or I can at least, not that I agree with them, but they'll at least talk to me without looking at me like I'm an enemy. So that doesn't scare me, NPR.
have an interest in cases that may come before the court. One example, on Monday, the court agreed to consider whether race-conscious admissions programs at Harvard and the University of North Carolina are lawful, raising the prospect that the court's conservative supermajority could roll back affirmative action in higher education. Ginny Thomas is on the advisory board of the National Association of Scholars, a conservative group that has filed an amicus brief in the Harvard case.
So we're talking about, I'm going to get to the text. This all came about from the text messages that were revealed through the J6 committee. And everyone on the left is saying this is a conflict of interest. And I will say there's some stuff here I do not like, but I do like in general, because I don't agree with Ginny Thomas on everything, disagree on a lot, but she's swimming upstream. Tying herself to Trump was not some type of easy thing to do. It was not some type of win. I'm not a Sidney Powell fan. I hate saying fan. I don't agree with her on a lot. I think Sidney Powell, she got over her skis. But siding with them, those are the people who get banned. People who side with them get ostracized. So for Ginny Thomas to side with them, I respect that. That's why I put in the title of this, appreciation. But there are some things that aren't okay. So this is about conflict of interest.
Mayer also talks to legal scholars who raise concerns about Ginny Thomas's activities. Many say there's a pressing need for clearer rules to govern the conduct of Supreme Court justices and their families. Well, Jane Mayer, welcome back to Fresh Air.
Thanks so much. Great to be with you.
I thought before we talk about Ginny Thomas's specific activities, we might talk a bit about what rules or standards should apply to this. I mean, we live in an age where people's spouses have careers, and everybody has a right to express their political views and a right to engage in lawful business activities. Now, we know that public officials are often bound by ethics codes in states and localities, and they generally provide that you can't use your power as a public official to bestow a financial benefit on yourself or a member of your immediate family, right? You can't award a contract to your husband or wife's firm because that's a little too close. It gives you a financial interest besides the public good. But what about judges? What rules, if any, apply to judges?
Well, there are actually very specific rules applying to judges, spouses, and family members. But what's interesting is that these rules apply to all judges who are in the federal system except for those on the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court holds itself as above all the rest of the judges and above the judicial code because it is the highest sort of judicial voice in the country. The point that has been made, it was actually made a number of years ago by Justice Rehnquist, was that nobody can enforce the law on it because it is basically the law itself.
So this is what they're angry about for those who are against Clarence Thomas. And I think there's a point to be made here that the Supreme Court is so high that who holds them accountable? But they're just an equal branch of government, just like the executive branch and the legislative branch. Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul, he can't buy enough Tesla stock. I think I've lost track. I've lost track of the millions upon millions of Tesla stock that he's purchased in options stock straight up and flipped, and how much money they've made just on Tesla, while his wife is the most powerful legislator in the country. I don't want to hear this, oh, that's whataboutism. What it is consistency. So I understand the concern with Clarence Thomas and Ginny. If a case comes up, which did happen, this one with the text, got to the Supreme Court, his wife was there, he should have recused himself, in my opinion. He should have been, I can't do this. But when I said all decorum is lost in our country, I said it's lost. Like, when people on the left aren't playing fair, like if they can do something, they'll do it, then people who are not on the left are going to do the same thing. So don't talk about it, be about it. For me personally, I would have me personally, I would have recused myself, because to me, if you do what they do, then you are them, to me. And I don't like that. But a lot of people are saying that's too soft. In war, there's no rules in war. There's no rule that if we are in a culture war, and I'm talking about it as a culture war, there are no rules. It's whatever I can get away with. Just like what's happening in Ukraine and Russia. If you're in some bunker out there, you can't say, "Oh, I'm going to let you walk across the field just because you're not looking at me. I'm not going to shoot you in the back." What? We're talking about war. It'll be done however we want. You saw the Redditors. They played the video of why were they playing a violin? I don't know. They were playing a violin allegedly in some bunker or some barracks or something. And the Russians saw the video and like, I know where that is. I know where y'all at. Boom. Gone. There's no rules.
And so it is outside of the judicial code that binds the rest of the judges. There's sort of two sets of rules. One is very specific about not being able to judge any kind of case in which your spouse is, for instance, arguing the case or has a financial interest in the case or some other interest in the case. You are supposed to step aside and recuse yourself rather than sit in judgment of something that involves your direct family member, spouse, or a kid in your family. And there's the second rule. You also are supposed to recuse yourself if there might be the appearance of a conflict of interest, even if it's not an actual conflict. If it's something, a situation that might make a reasonable...
Hey, it is what it is. She goes on here to say, I'm going to share this, Ilhan Omar. She went a little bit further here as far as what should happen with Clarence Thomas. And from what I hear, luckily he's okay. Was it confirmed that he came down with that pandemic thing? But I think he had flu-like symptoms. I think he was hospitalized. And last I heard, it looked like he was okay. But they went on to say in that interview, the interview you were just listening to, that Ginny has her own private company. And the problem that could arise with that is she doesn't disclose, it's like some type of consulting firm or something like that. She doesn't disclose who purchases her services. So there could be somebody in front of the court for Clarence Thomas and others who have actually indirectly given money to Clarence Thomas's family through Ginny Thomas. That's not good. And now, hey, if there's no laws stopping them from doing it, it is what it is. But obviously, that's not a good thing. But here's where we see more games being played. Ilhan Omar says, not over that. I don't think she's even talking about that. That stuff is the stuff that bothers me, not these texts. But Ilhan Omar says Clarence Thomas needs to be impeached over wife's texts. I don't even know what the impeachment process is for a Supreme Court justice. But that's how crazy things are getting. U.S. Representative for Minnesota Ilhan Omar has called for Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas to resign after evidence emerged that his wife pressed the White House former chief of staff to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election. I don't understand. Why would he have to resign for that? She's completely entitled to her opinion on that. For me, I don't see any conflict of interest. Even if if the Supreme Court had decided to hear the case of, all the states against, it was the states that were contesting things in 2020, I don't think he would need to recuse himself. So what are we going to do? Like open up the text messages of every spouse of the Supreme Court? I don't know what. No, I don't know what any of them are doing. Y'all have the energy to expose this. I guarantee you wouldn't have that energy to expose anything on the left. So I have no problem with it. Omar said Clarence Thomas needs to be impeached. So she's doing the short tweet, the classic. It's good Twitter protocol. The classic short tweet that you hope gets likes and retweets. She wrote it on Twitter, sharing a tweet that remarked on Justice Thomas being the only justice in the court to vote no in the 8-1 decision on January 2022 to allow the release of Donald Trump's draft executive order authorizing the military to seize voting machines. So she said, hey, remember, he was the only one to vote no. Now the text show his wife was encouraging Trump. So they're saying, hey, why is this happening? It doesn't sound like he broke any rules. It's the highest court in the land. What you're seeing is an attack on the Constitution and an attack on the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is what protected us from Joe Biden firing people for not taking an experimental drug. Like firing people for not listening and taking something we told you to take, a medicine, something we have never seen before in our country. The only thing that stopped them was the Supreme Court. So there's no surprise they're attacking the Constitution. Constitution cannot exist with critical theory. And the Supreme Court, the critical theory cannot exist unless you get people on the Supreme Court that agree with critical theory. And then that goes to hiding your evil intentions behind black people. In this case, a black woman. So they nominate black woman for the Supreme Court. I can't prove it. Maybe people disagree with me and think there's enough evidence. I don't have evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that, and that's just my own standard here, that Ketanji Brown Jackson is a believer of critical theory. But I think she is. So I'm just going to throw it out there. That's why she was deceptive with her answers. So you sneak in critical theory to the Supreme Court, and Ketanji Brown Jackson was a great one because she didn't have that much to grab onto on critical theory, and she's going to be confirmed, in my opinion. So you have to make that attack on the Supreme Court. I don't know why he didn't try to pack the courts. I don't know if he just didn't think he had the votes or what, but that would be the next step. So they're actually trying to impeach him. Let's look at what did Ginny really say, Virginia Thomas, in these text messages, if you haven't had a chance to see them. Thanks for stopping by. Late Night Live. That's a lot of lives are going to be late night. My wife has the white noise on, so hopefully I don't wake her up. Virginia Thomas urged White House chief to pursue unrelenting efforts to overturn the 2020 election, text show. This got leftists up in a tizzy. They were firing off on Twitter. And so what happened is the wife of the Supreme Court justice is texting the chief of staff for Trump at the time, and she's texting stuff like, let me search on the quotes here so I can skip to them. She's texting stuff to him like, help. This is in November 10th, after news organizations had projected Biden as the winner. And for YouTube, that's not me. I'm just reading her text messages. I think Joe Biden is our Lord, and he's the overlord of overlords, and he's the most legit of all time. And earlier I said he's the worst president of all time. For you, YouTube, I meant he's the best president of all time. So don't hurt me on this. I'm just saying, help. This great president, stand firm, Mark. You are the leader with him who is standing for America's constitutional governance at the precipice. The majority knows Biden, and the left are doing this stuff. I just don't want to, even though I bowed and took the knee to my overlords, I still don't want to offend my overlords. So this is why I said this is appreciation this is not stuff that is swimming with the current. She's going against the current here. And she knows that. She's very savvy. She knows the risk that she's taking doing this, going with Trump. I think she was off base in some of these things. I think her passion could have been better spent elsewhere, but I appreciate her passion. She said this is a fight of good versus evil. Oh, wait, is that Meadows? Let me see here. Thomas and the White House chief invoked God. Yeah, this is a fight of good versus evils. Evil always looks like the victor until King of Kings triumphs. And so she's talking about this in a serious way and with Meadows. So Meadows wrote that. And then Thomas replies, "Thank you. Needed that. This is a plus conversation with my best friend just now. I will try to keep holding on. America is worth it." So my bigger takeaway, I know everything's not good with her. I don't like the conflicts of interest. That's not integrity. I think we have to maintain our integrity. I know that sounds crazy. That's kind of, I might have to change that because the vision I have, and I'll end with that. Enough of that topic. The vision I have by me saying in this culture war we have to maintain integrity. You remember in the Revolutionary War, that was one of the first times we saw guerrilla type warfare. The British army would come marching in their bright red coats and their formation lines, and they would be getting picked off because this isn't a gentleman's game. I'm going to hide in a tree. We saw that in the Vietnam War. We saw like guerrilla jungle type warfare where I'm going to hide under some branches and leaves, and your dumbass is going to come walking down like you think this is some formal shoot off, and we're just going to pick you off in the back. And I feel like I'm that British soldier right now. Like we have to maintain integrity while the left is like bink, 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 bink. I'm still holding on to the integrity, but I'm just being honest with you. I'm feeling the idiocy of that thought right now. Thanks for hanging on. Bogey Bozo, he said, "All right, I'm calling it a night. Eyelids getting heavy. Love the stream. Appreciate you. I'm glad there's good people like you out there fighting the good fight and standing for our culture. Good night." Thank you for stopping by. Really appreciate it. Eric Smith, friend of show, in the chat. What's good? Simply Pony says, 2A is the only reason we are not overtaken. It is. I think it is the number one reason. I think 2A is the number one reason. If it wasn't for that, I don't know where we'd be. I don't think we'd be Australia during the pandemic. I think I think they have some of those restrictions lifted. Not all of them, but some of them. But yeah, I think 2A is probably the number one reason. That's one of the things that really makes America unique. It took me years in my life to really kind of understand that. Does anybody watch movies? Anybody watching movies anymore? What's the last movie you saw? I was asking my wife, like, when's the last time we went to the movie theater? I think we are going to go see the Batman. I haven't seen the Batman movie yet. And I think we remembered the last time we were in the theater. The last movie I saw was Joker. I actually saw that by myself. That was a great movie. The Joker. What year was the Joker? Is that like 2018? I really liked the Joker a lot. It's 2019. That was a really good movie. And it didn't need to be a superhero movie. I'm tired of the superhero movies. They're just not doing it for me. Maybe I'm just getting older. They are not doing it for me anymore. They're just whack. And I haven't seen them all. But they're not doing them for me. But the last movie that my wife and I saw together was the last Star Wars. Was it The Last Jedi? No. The last one they made. I forgot what it was called. That's the last movie we saw together. And that was that 2017? I mean, we're getting really out there with how long ago we're talking about for some of these movies. So that brings me to the Oscars. Is anybody watching the Oscars? Is anybody planning on watching the Oscars? You know what? I think that has to do with this topic. I think this is why. So I don't think anybody's watching the Oscars. We've seen the ratings kind of go down. And I think that's why we're hearing rumors. Don't know if that's true or not, just rumors. Ukrainian President Zelensky in talks with Academy to make Oscars appearance. How appropriate. This dude loves being behind a green screen. We know that for damn sure. You know, we talked about famine earlier in this show, in this live stream. We talked about famine earlier in this live stream. And we're doing this all over Ukraine. And the guy in Ukraine's like, can I get in on the Oscars? Are they taking this stuff seriously? All right, this is clown world stuff. He's making an appearance at the Oscars for what? What for what? That shows you what the Oscars are really for. What does he have to do with the Oscars? He's right now he's supporting neo-Yazis in his country. Now I know that's weird because he's not the type that you would think, being Jewish, to support these Yazis. But that's what's happening. I don't know. Like, I'd love to ask him. Has anybody asked him that? I'd love to ask him the question. This is all a game and a show. If this was real, you would not see rumors of this happening. It just wouldn't happen. For him to think that he's going to go to the Oscars as a rumor, again, I'm just going to say it's a rumor. I haven't seen any confirmation of it. He's been in talks with the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences to make a video appearance during Sunday's broadcast of the Academy Awards, the Post has learned. This is through the New York Post. Academy officials are still debating on whether Zelensky will indeed appear briefly on the show. It's also not clear if he would appear live or in a taped message. He would do it live? Wow. That would be incredible if he if he did it live. I don't know how you could verify that, but sources said the debate centers on whether the Oscars should remain apolitical. I have to share this now because I can't believe I just read that. The Oscars is trying to maintain integrity to be apolitical. That's what they're worried about. I'm going to highlight it and show you I am not making this up. This is real. I did not lie. So what's happening? Sources said the debate centers on whether the Oscars should remain apolitical as the Russian invasion of Ukraine rages on. So if that's the debate, you know they're going to do it because there's nothing that's more political than the Oscars. Like, I don't think I've ever heard the Oscars talk about a pro-MAGA type of vibe. Well, we did have, was that the Oscars when we had Tyler Perry talk about the middle? What a classic moment that was. Was that the Oscars? No, he does TV, right? He does TV and movies, of course. I don't remember if that was the Oscars. Let me see if I can see that real quick. Tyler Perry, he was talking about, remember he had that clip from, the middle is where healing happens. Yep, that was the Oscars. Yep. So it was but here's the thing. I'm not going to use that as them being open-minded. It was controversial for him to make this statement, believe it or not. Let's revisit this. Hopefully the sound plays.
It is my hope that all of us would teach our kids, and not only to remember, just refuse hate. Don't hate anybody. I refuse to hate someone because they are Mexican or because they are black or white or LGBTQ. I refuse to hate someone because they are a police officer. I refuse to hate someone because they are Asian. I would hope that we would refuse hate. And I want to take this Jean Hersel Humanitarian Award and dedicate it to anyone who wants to stand in the middle. No matter what's around the walls, stand in the middle, because that's where healing happens. That's where conversation happens. That's where change happens. It happens in the middle. So anyone who wants to meet me in the middle, to refuse hate, to refuse blanket judgment, and to help lift someone's feet off the ground. This one is for you too. God bless you, and thank you, Academy. I appreciate it.
That was a good moment. That was a good moment. So I'd like to see more of those moments, and I really don't want to see Zelensky showing up at the Oscars. So he's going to show up at the Oscars and opine and beg for World War III? Is that what he's planning on doing? How much money is he going to show up at the Oscars and talk about how much money we're going to and have sent over there? Is he going to talk about Hunter Biden? Guys, don't have him come to the Oscars. We're good. Things are bad enough. I know it will help your ratings, even just the guests, because I think he's going to be there. They're trying to make it like, oh, is he going to be there or not? That might even be better for promotion. If they say that he's going to be there, then everyone's just going to kind of, okay, it's happening. But if you kind of say, oh, is he going to be, then that creates the buzz around it. So you know he's probably going to be there. He'll do another green screen video. Don't worry, his green screen looks about as bad as mine. He'll do a green screen video, and he'll find a way to show up at the Oscars. I would bet money. If I'm betting on it, if I'm talking to Will Cormier and saying, hey, where should I put my money on this? It's, where it's going to go. I'm betting on that happening. They will probably go that route. Let me know what you think. So much craziness. Eric Smith in the chat, truth. They're talking about people enjoying separating the socialists from their false reality when the thing breaks loose. And they will lose, obviously here. They lose awfully here. Too many people here will choose freedom. I have the same thoughts. I do agree with that. We're not at that point yet, but I think eventually, because there are more people who want freedom, eventually when push comes to shove, I think that's what's going to happen. So I am optimistic. You call it white-pilled if you want. I am white-pilled long-term for that exact reason. So that doesn't mean that there won't be short-term foibles, short-term challenges, but I am white-pilled long-term. Yeah, truth drops the truth. Like you got to live up to that kind of screen name, which is hard to do, and truth is doing it. Appreciate that. Did you know our society is at the point where we're begging Elon Musk to fix everything like he's the Godfather? Do you see what happened recently here? Elon Musk, so speculation's growing that Elon Musk is going to start a Twitter alternative. This is something I talked about last year. I got pumped about it after Trump got banned, and Elon Musk has about 80 million followers on Twitter, and he's very controversial. So the Babylon Bee got banned. Elon Musk has been on the Babylon Bee. He's kind of cool with the Babylon Bee guys. He likes humor a lot. He values humor a lot. He has interwoven humor in all his products. If you ever seen a Tesla, they have a whoopee cushion, a digital whoopee cushion in the Tesla. And some of the names for the different types of farts in the Tesla are plays off of his other companies like Neuralink and Starlink and all that. They just like goofy things. So I think Babylon, this is just me speculating, more than Trump or anybody, Babylon Bee getting banned for satire or truth, whatever you want to talk about it, they're a satire site. Them getting banned probably pissed him off. I would not be surprised. I'm going to give you the tweets that he did. I know I will never call myself an expert in basically anything. I'm pretty knowledgeable on Elon. Not like David Lee or Warren Redlick or, now crew, but I'm pretty knowledgeable. I'm not Sawyer Merritt. I'm not Omar Kazi, but I'm pretty knowledgeable. A couple tiers down below them. What Elon Musk is saying here is not a joke. This is not a joke. I can tell you that There's not many things I'm very confident in that I will say without like hedging my bet or qualifications. No qualifications. Elon Musk is not joking. I don't know if he's going to do it or not. This is not a joke, though. I know that in my heart for sure. Clay Travis, Outkick, says, Elon Musk, will you please buy Twitter, free the Babylon Bee, and return the true marketplace of ideas to this site? We need you to make it happen. So that's why I said our society is at the point where we're begging Elon to fix everything. Ukraine doesn't have internet. Elon, can you fix it? We're going to destroy the planet. Elon, can you get us to Mars? We can't get we can't get rockets to the moon anymore. Elon, can you get us to the moon? Elon, we've got traffic jams all over the country. Elon, can you dig tunnels? Like, are you seeing the pattern here? He's that dude. Elon Musk tweeted, free speech is essential to a functioning democracy. Based, do you believe Twitter rigorously adheres to this principle? Yes or no? So this is 70%, over 70%, a little bit over 70% said no. 29.5% said yes. Elon Musk knew. This is 2 million votes, basically. It's not a small sample size. But the people who follow Elon, you would expect this to be the response. But Elon's so big, I'm sure it got to a lot of people who are not in his sphere. That's a big difference there. And this is the tweet that made me know, well, I knew this was serious. But then he said, the consequences of this poll will be important. Please vote carefully. It's not a joke. He's trying to make it kind of like a joke, but it's not a joke. Every one of his companies starts up like a joke. He did the math for SpaceX on the back of a napkin after he flew to Russia, and he was going to buy or rent or whatever, make a deal to use Russian rockets because Russia has always had a great space program. And I forgot why the deal fell through. Maybe it was too expensive or whatever. He was flying back to the States, I believe. On his napkin, he's like, how much, if I can make a reusable rocket, how much will it cost? How much can I get the cost down? Will it work? He literally did the math on a napkin, is how the legend goes of the story, and said, I can make this work. The legend, so it always starts with some type of joke. Same thing with boring tunnel. It started with this ha joke, oh, we'll dig tunnels, and then he actually did it. It always happens that way with him. He likes it that way. I think it has to be that way. He would love to tell the story. They banned Babylon Bee, and I'm going to do it. Here's my thing. It's always easy to talk about free speech until you start hearing the N-bomb dropped and these insensitive things dropped. Are you okay with that? So I should have prefaced when I gave props to Cozy TV. When I'm in the chat for young Nick J. Fuentes, it's N-bombs. It's all kinds of insensitive stuff in it. And maybe I'm just a wackadoo. It's just refreshing. I don't even usually, I'm not really, like when I listen to Tim Pool, I'm not in the Tim Pool. I'll look at the chat sometimes, but I'm not in the chat chatting. On the Nick Fuentes, man, they got the vibe. I'm in the chat. I'm chatting with them. I'm like, I know feds are watching, but whatever. I don't care anymore. And I'm in the chat, and I'm dropping M-bombs. They're dropping M-bombs. I'm like, this Nick is late for his show again. And they're like, I know this Nick is always, they just throw around the N-bomb. And it's just, I like their youthful energy, and they're so refreshing. My point is, Elon, are you down with that? I don't know. I know I follow Elon a lot. Something tells me that he's not all the way down with like Gab. And I just use the N-word because you'll see that a lot, but there's all kinds of insensitive stuff on like Gab and that. And that's true free speech. But I think if he does an algorithm, he had an interaction with Jack Dorsey here, and he talked about, I want the algorithm to Twitter. It should be open source. Basically, he's saying what I said, it should be public domain. It's not as strong as what I said, but I think it should be owned by the public. He just said it should be public source, and that would accomplish basically the same thing. So I think he's going to say, make it public sourced, and you could easily do an algorithm that says, I don't want any insensitive stuff. Just block it out for me, and it would just be just like Twitter is now. Or you could say, give me everything. I don't care what it is. And then you'll be able to see it within legal reasons, of course. So we'll see. I think he's going to do something. And if Elon does something, the good thing is it's going to be different. The thing about Truth Social, Getter, I'm on Getter, it's not different enough. And then the other challenge is the echo chamber. I like getting into political spats, not like beefs type stuff or calling names or anything like that. I like getting into political discussions on Twitter. I wasn't planning on doing this, but I'll transition. I think that's the end of this one, right? Oh, before I transition, everybody's going for, not after, but they're going to Elon Musk like he's the godfather. And this is one of my favorite episodes. We're talking about the 90s, right? Married with Children, one of the greatest shows of all time. A show that I don't think could even be made anymore nowadays. It was so insensitive. There was the episode where, what was Elle's daughter's name? Oh, God, I forgot her name already. Christina Applegate was dating the mayor of the city. And because his daughter was dating the mayor of the city, Al became one of my favorite shows. I've seen that so many times. I think that is my favorite episode, one of them at least. That was cool back in the day. I used to watch X-Files on Fox 2. I am a huge X-Files fan. I've seen every episode from the pilot to the end. I think it's 13. Is it 13 seasons? Or is it more? I've watched through all of them like 3 times. There's some episodes of the X-Files that are just so great. That was it. All I had for tonight. Yeah. I'm making you feel old. Sorry about that, Simply Pony. I know that that's a long time ago now. But good memories. That was what I was going to end on. But I did get off a side note when I was talking about the echo chambers of Twitter and how the echo chambers of Getter. There's not as much cross conversation on Getter. Even Gab, not as much. I'm trying to think of the other sites. I don't do much on Facebook. So Twitter is where you see the interaction. Here's where I'm just going to give you an example of where I got into. I was into another echo chamber of Twitter, and this is the echo chamber of the establishment bootlicking left. And the point I'm going to say here is this is why I still go on Twitter. I think it helps me think things through, and Getter won't be a go-to spot for me until they can, and I don't think they'll ever get there, but if they were able to get some cross conversation going, and Elon needs to do that with his. But this came up from Mike Braun, Senator Mike Braun, Indiana. So the reporter said, would you be okay with the Supreme Court leaving the issue of interracial marriage to the states? Mike Braun says, yes, if you are not wanting the Supreme Court to weigh in on issues like that, you're not going to be able to have your cake and eat it too. Let me play the clip here and tell you what my takeaway was. And just to me, people don't think through things critically when they are looking to find something to support their identitarian ideas.
So you would be okay with the Supreme Court leaving the question of interracial marriage to the states?
Yes, I think that's something that if you're not wanting the Supreme Court to weigh in on issues like that, you're not going to be able to have your cake and eat it too. I think that's hypocritical.
What about Griswold versus Connecticut?
Well, you can list a whole host of issues. When it comes down to whatever they are, I'm going to say that they're not going to all make you happy within a given state, but that we're better off having states manifest their points of view rather than homogenizing it across the country as Roe versus Wade did.
So you would be okay with the...
So you can see that how people on the left would be troubled by that statement. And what Braun was really getting at there was a conversation on federalism. There was no race brought up on this other than that. And he was so focused on, well, I want the states to decide these issues, that he said it on the interracial, and he didn't think about the ramifications of what he would be called racist and all that other stuff. So I replied to a tweet from that, and that's how I got into this, this other world here. There's more to it, but that's basically what happened. And I this is a poorly written tweet by me, but I replied, well, let me show you what the original tweet says. From Eugene Scott. Says, Senator Mike Braun said Tuesday that he would be open to the Supreme Court overturning its 1967 ruling that legalized interracial marriage nationwide to allow states to independently decide the issue. That is an accurate statement from Eugene Scott, but we do this a lot. I do this sometimes too, but a lot of people do it more than I do. They tweet something, and I don't know what the point of the tweet is. So he's just sharing that information. So maybe he's just like, okay, I just wanted to share the information. But you don't know what the intent is of sharing that. Is there an angle that you have? So I replied to that. I said, he said he misunderstood. So what's the point of this tweet? And my tweet is poorly worded. I will fully admit that. It's just Twitter. I mean, whatever. But because I left myself open for people to say he misunderstood. He didn't really misunderstand. I agree. He didn't misunderstand. What I meant to say is he said he misunderstood. Basically, he's not standing on it. He's saying he made a mistake. Very similar to Ted Cruz. He went away to Mexico during the energy crisis in the winter, 1.5 years ago, or whatever it was. And then he came back and said, well, my daughter wanted to get away or something like that. That's just the politician's way of saying, I messed up. I made a mistake. So that's what I meant by the misunderstood. So obviously people said, well, hold up. He did misunderstand. But my takeaway is, what is the point of this tweet? So me saying misunderstood didn't force people to answer. What is your takeaway? What is your point? So people were, had different takes. This person here said, the point of retweeting this is that he didn't misunderstand, and it's very apparent they didn't misunderstand the question. He's backpedaling because it didn't go the way he thought it was going to go. That still doesn't answer my real question. Is I should have just forget that part. I should have just said, what is the point of this tweet? Because this person he or she didn't answer it. What's the point? What did he misunderstand? Again, what's the point? I misunderstood. The quiet part was on volume 40 instead of 400. My bad. That's a good tweet, but what's the point? You've got to be kidding. I said the N word, but it's okay because I didn't understand the question. It's still no point. Here's somebody who finally got to the point. That's what you angrily say when caught doing a racism. So that's when I had a discussion over there on that side of Twitter of there was no discussion about race. He was talking about the powers of the state versus the federal government. And I believe the federal government is so corrupt. I started with the Hunter Biden stuff and all this other stuff. The federal government is so corrupt that I agree with Eric July. It needs to be decentralized. What does that mean? Do you understand I don't want to say radical, but how significant that statement is? That I say the federal government is beyond fixing. It needs to be decentralized. And I think we would go through a cycle where we would decentralize it, then we would rediscover the reason why we did it in the first place, and then bring it all back together again like an enema. We need to flush this out and start over. But if you were to hypothetically, federal government gone, states would have to decide everything, including slavery, interracial marriage. That's not a racial position. That's a who decides what position. So that's not race. It's where does the power lie? With the states or the government? If the government's gone, the states have to decide everything. Now, if a state did say interracial marriage was illegal, then you would say, hey, what's the what's the reasoning, what's the body of that state, and you could argue that it's racist. But the argument of who makes the decision is not a racist one, and that's where Mike Braun was coming from. And trust me, I'm not one here to be defending Mike Braun. I don't care about Mike Braun. But I just want to talk about what's right and think through stuff critically. Eric Smith says decentralize the feds. He agrees with me. So it's a libertarianish approach. So everybody who agrees with that, give power back to the states, means the states would have to decide all this stuff. The Constitution would be gone. So that's it. That's all I had. Appreciate everybody hanging out. I'm going to go do some editing now, get some sleep, if I can, after the monster. I'm probably going to listen to Young Fuentes. I haven't listened to today's show. I did catch Royce White on with Tim Pool today. I thought it was excellent. Sometimes on Fridays, when Tim is a little bit tired from the week and he works a lot, these are intense topics too. So it's not like I'm working. Every type of work is hard. I think that's mentally tough to do, to be entertaining, to have your voice up, to talk about these topics and not bring yourself down. And on Friday, I think he's a little bit more like, y'all do some talking. And that let Royce White shine. If you don't know Royce White, he's running in Minnesota 5 for Congress. It's an uphill battle. It's a Democrat district. It's Ilhan Omar's district. She's got the money. She's got the stardom. It's a Democrat district. But Royce White he embodies America. It's like, I'm the underdog. I don't care. I'm going to get my voice out. He's like, with belief in God, anything can happen. And he's like, if it does happen, I'm an underdog. You'll feel that much better. So he's getting prominence. He was on with Alex Jones. He was on with Steve Bannon. He's very knowledgeable. I like his view on globalism. He puts it in a very easy to digest way. His ideas are very similar to Bannon's in a way too, but it was good stuff. So I'll probably maybe finish that. I think I pretty much listened to that whole podcast. I didn't hear the super chats. Super chats are actually a very important part of that show. You learn a lot of new information from the super chats. From one of the super chats, I saw Tim Pool's working on a TV show, I believe. I don't know with who or what, but he's working on some type of TV show. So I'll listen to that. Maybe Fuentes. I don't know if I listened to the whole recent Dave Smith. I listened to every single Dave Smith upload. I got to catch up with Eric July too. So I'll be doing that while editing videos. It's the outro period. I'll just take one last look at the chat. We could live life perfectly normal. The only reason there is ever chaos is because it's induced by those involved. Yep. Eric Smith says the power was originally intended to be split between the states and feds. Yeah, it is. Well, but it is split now because you do have some certain thing. Every state interprets the Second Amendment differently, which really shouldn't happen, but I guess it does. Eric Smith, giving power back to states doesn't mean end to the Constitution. Stop mental gymnastics. Function of F of X math in your head. Did I miss something there on that? I missed a super chat. Sorry. I don't know how I can. I don't even know how I can get. You talking about the one? Am I usually streaming late? Oh no, sorry. Stuck in the middle is a preservative, right? Wait, what does that mean? Oh, are you saying am I conservative, right? I don't associate with any. I'm fine with whatever people want to label me. I won't label myself though. I could have even called the channel like Man Without a Label or something like that. There was one of my favorite rappers. His name was One Below. He goes by One Below. He started out as the name Anonymous. He was like Man Without a Label. Is that what it was? Simply Pony, thank you for that super chat. So no, you could still have a constitution and decide on separation of powers. You don't have to. You don't have to choose one over the other. Yeah, I my views are I call myself a constitutional libertarian. Preservative, keeping what we already have. Okay. Um. Yeah, that's a good point. I have to think about my ideology. I would say the form of government that we have right now, I think is excellent. My contact is bothering me, so it's making my eyes tear up. But I think it's getting better now. But yeah, I would preserve it. I know it's not perfect, but flaws and all. Um, I think the structure is solid. It's just the money infused in it is the problem. So people in power knew that this structure was. It's very hard to dismantle what the founding fathers created. So all the money that's put into it is what's. So I don't think we need to recreate the wheel. And even if we went to a libertarian approach, we would never be the wild, wild west. That would never be the case. I know, and some ANCAPs think we would, and I disagree with them. That would never happen. You would always have tribes, which would be basically the same as cities or states. You would have leaders in that tribe. You would have to get together to get a police force. You would have to band together to get a military. Like, police wouldn't go away, military wouldn't go away. So basically, you would be almost recreating the wheel in a way. So I do actually find the form of government we have right now is fine. It just needs some tweaks. Andrew Yang has some of the best ideas out there for tweaking the federal government that I've heard. He had the idea of giving everybody in America, voting age, money that would overpower the interests to a certain extent in elections that candidates get through dark money, super PACs, and all that stuff. So they would have to answer, at least in election season, to Americans, because the power of the money, with like you would get $1,000 of fictional cash, and it would be real cash, and you could say, I want to donate to Donald Trump $1,000 of my voting cash, or I could do Marjorie Taylor Greene or whoever you want to do, and they would get that money to, put it wherever they wanted to, campaign finances. So you could have Comic Dave Smith. If Comic Dave Smith were running and we had this Freedom Cash that Andrew Yang had the idea for, I could donate $1,000 of Freedom Cash, because I wouldn't be able to donate $1,000 of real cash to Dave Smith. But I could donate $1,000 of the Freedom Cash, which the government would give it to Dave Smith to run for president. It would kind of even things out a little bit. I don't have all the answers, but I think we could keep our there's no other government that's had a better idea. So even if you go libertarian, you're not going to have a better idea than the Constitution, in my opinion. So I guess I would be Simply Pony. I would be for preserving what we have. Thanks for letting me know. If I miss a super chat, yeah, please holler at me. You can comment on one of my videos or something like that. I don't want to skip that. Okay, cool. I think it's a good discussion to have for another time. I could flesh that out. The states versus federal deconstruction. I'm still learning, reading. I like Michael Malice's book where he put together a bunch of essays, The Anarchist Handbook. It's almost like a libertarian, one-on-one course. Like, these are the books you need to start reading, or these essays are what you need to start reading to understand the different types of libertarianism. But I think libertarians are very important to keep us balanced in our government. And right now, libertarians are more important than ever. So cool. Thanks for Simply Pony. I was about to miss another super chat. $5 Simply Pony. Thank you. Have an awesome night. Check out, let me put it up here. Check out Jacob Israel. Salty Cracker is my dude. I'm not familiar with Jacob Israel. Because if I don't do it now, I'll forget. So let me just search and sub up to Jacob Israel. If you guys are recommending them, I know I will like them. I am not subbed to him yet. I see him here. So Jacob Israel. I'll put on alerts to make sure I get an alert for him. Salty Cracker is my dude. One of my favorite dudes. Marfugel? I'm not familiar with Marfugel. Marfugel News. Marfugel TV. Subbed up. Thank you. Oh, yeah, Marfugel News. Stay blessed. You too. To you and everybody watching. Thank you. Simply Pony, a positive way to end it. Everybody, thank you. Take care. And hopefully I'll be able to do another live late night tomorrow. We'll see.